It's Vanity Ezel, back again with our Card Fight Vanguard Ezel the Vanity weekly reviews. So if you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon, and let's get one started. Today we have the end of set 3, which had a lot of cards in it, but also had a very disappointing realization, which I'll get to later. So let's go ahead and get the reveal started, because there's a lot of them. First up, we have Blaze Fist Monk Tenji, AK base 5k show, grade 1 with boost. Auto rearguard, when your rearguard is placed, if it is placed in the overdressed state, draw a card, and if you drew, you choose a card from hand and discard one. So, a decent ability. It's not the searcher that we got last time where you look at top 7 for an overdress. He requires you to overdress to begin with to use this ability, but you know, he can give you a draw that you might need later, and discard fodder, which might end up putting something you want in drop, or you could discard something like Touch a Guardian and then Sylvan to Soul. Tenji is a good card to consider. I say 2 over 3 of if you choose to run him. Next up, we have my favorite looking order, or one of my favorite looking cards in all of the entirety of the game, but the thing that refuses to let me play it, Prayer of Resonating Wishes. Oh yeah, no, just Prayer of Resonating Wishes. I wish it was a set order. It looks like a set order, but it's not, unfortunately. And I want a set order for Dragon Empire. Nice job, Bushy. Grade 3 normal order. Normal order, play it by counterblasting 1. Choose one of your vanguards, turn of turn, it gets auto van. When your rear guard is placed, if it is in the overdressed state, draw a card and your vanguard gets +5 for the turn. So, you know, that can stack up really quickly, especially when you do stuff like Urger to give the vanguard more power, because, well, it depends on how you do it, though. That's because Urger activates during the battle phase, and you have to overdress it specifically on Trickstar. If you overdress it enough, that's a lot of power, and you can overdress the same number of units multiple times. The best part about it is, too, we now have 4 cards. Wait, yeah, 4 cards with the overdress ability. Wait, no, it's not. We have 5 cards now. So, at max power, if you're assumably that you only overdress everyone once each, then that's 25 plus to van. So that's a really nice order. I like it. I run it at 2 because you don't want to oversee it, especially when it costs a counterblast, but it's still good. Next up, we have Howitzer of Duststorm Dustin. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Triple rare for Eugene. If you don't know, back before overdress was, well, no, back when set 1 was still coming out, and right before I started play testing Nirvana, I was trying to main Eugene, didn't work out. I still love Eugene, I just can't main it, and I ended up maining Nirvana over it. But hey, Dustin, nice to see you. Anyway, skill. Auto when it's placed on rear, if your vanguard is Heavenly Artillery of Duststorm Eugene, put a hand card of soul, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rear guards, and retire it. So a way to murder a rear guard, get you soul for Eugene, and you still don't really lose anything from it. Really nice ability. And then auto rear, when it attacks, soul blast 1 for each of your opponent's open rear guard circles, it gets +2 to end the battle. That reminds me of Mabuti from Kagero of Premium. Dragonite Mabuti, if you don't remember what he does, I think he's on swing, counterblast 1 if you're in Blazing, draw a card, and it gets +2 for every open rearguard circle. So, really nice, 20k swinger, and it only costs a soul blast, not a counterblast, so I like this boy. I say 4 of. He's really nice in the deck. Next up, we have Curved Shot of Duststorm Alastor. 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when it's put on guard circle, if the opponent's attacking unit is not boosted, it gets +10k shield for the battle. So, you know, a way to just add +10 to shield, and that's all around really nice to do. I mean, they have to boost with it for it to not go off, which is bad, but we have this thing. Ambush, Kill, Smoke, grade 2 Blitz order. Play it by counterblasting 1. If your vanguard is Eugene, it sucks that it's name restricted, but it's still fine. Choose one of your vanguards, it gets +10 for the battle until at the end of the battle, retire the rear guard that boosted. Okay, I thought this was during the battle that it did that, so already I like this thing a bit less. So this immediately goes down to like a 2 or 3 of. This, however, is still good because you're murdering a rear guard during their turn, meaning you have to waste less resources during your next turn to kill it, followed by, you know, it's just a 10k shield. It's not as good in terms of shield value as Burn Bright Pure Prayers, but when you're killing a rear guard during your opponent's turn, it's really nice. I say like a 2 over 3 of. Next up, we have Unsurpassed Heavenly Impact Ragreal, 13k base, grade 3 Twin Drive Persona Ride, triple rare for Bastion, and we know that Toya is going to use this thing in the anime because we saw the anime clip. I didn't show it on my channel because I'm pretty sure I get copyright strike for that, but you know what I'm talking about if you saw that, and it's up on the internet too. Auto rear, when it attacks a vanguard, counterblast 2 and rest any number of your other rear guards until end of battle that this unit's drive check can get +5. Oh, sorry, it gets drive check and it gets +5, not +5 drives. So twin drive and 18k base on rear, so combined with Bastion, that's 4 drives. And at the end of the battle, if you rest 3 or less units for its cost, discard 3 cards from hand, and if you rest 1 or less, discard 2 more. So either discard 3 or discard 5, or discard none but lose every one of your other attackers. Which makes me kind of hate this guy because Bastion, well, yeah, if you see a grade 3 during your 4 drive checks, possibly 5, depending on if you use a lineup O chosen knights, then you only re-standing 1, and you only have 3 attacks out of it compared to like Bastion's normal 4 with a lot of power, and you lose out on your boosters. Or you could use this, but lose out a fuck ton of hand cards. Especially with the new ruling bush he just made, which I would get to in a later video, not this one, because it's important here. It's really weird. So I run this at a 2 of, more of like a finisher boy. He's not something I would call to board early unless I thought I need to kill them early. That's how I see it. If you want to run him at more than 2, go ahead, but I prefer him at 2. Next up, we have Knight of Heavenly Departure Flup. 7k base, 5k shield, great on boost, continuous guard circle. All of your grade 3 units get plus 5k shield. So really interesting, you know, it's like a 5k plus shield to all your guys and girls. So making them a lot better to guard with. And now I have reasons not to run Kokobile. Then again, I cut her for this boy. So, not so sure how to feel about that. I still wouldn't personally run this unless something else I mentioned later in another video happens, and yes, I would run this. But, it's a nice card. Not for me, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's either all grade 3s, minus the PG and triggers, or no grade 3s. So, that's how I feel about this. Either way, Flup's a nice addition to your deck. If you want to run it, I say 2 over 3 of. Next up, we have the thing I hate, in the sense that of what could have been replaced with it, but in terms of skill, I love it. Diabolos Returner Derrick's 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto rear, if you're in final rush, gets plus 5, and act rear once per turn. Counterboss 1, put a rear guard into soul. For every 4 cards in soul, kill a rear guard on the opponent's field, and then if you're in final rush, look at the same number of cards on the top of your deck equal to their open rear guard circles. Call any number of unit cards from them to rear and put the rest to soul. So basically, that's a Eugene effect, except minus the final rush, and you get a free soul out of it. I like that, because that is a field rush if you're in final rush, and even if it's not, it's still a way to murder multiple rear guards at once, making it reasons to call more than like 1 or 2 units during each of your turns before final rush. But what I hate about this is the Dark State's second triple rare. They could have given this to Baromagnes, and Baromagnes got very little support, in my opinion, out of the remaining things. It got a few good support, but it's not like name restrictive really good support. So as much as I like Derrick, I resent him because I don't even care about Baromagnes. Like, I love Bruce far more than I love Baromagnes, but I wanted to get something for Baromagnes just because it's a fair thing. But no, they gave us Derrick, and a lot of people gave them shit about Leonard, so I don't know why they gave us Derrick in the first place, but sure. Next up, we have Diablo Striker Brian, 13k base, grade 3 twin drive Persona Ride, act rear once per turn, Soul Blast 2 till end of turn. All of your front units get plus 5, and if you're in final rush, your Vanguard gets an extra crit. So, really nice. Plus 5 to front row, so basically with the Persona Ride, that's plus 15, and a possible extra crit to your Vanguard, making it better for swinging, and if you pull your Dark States over trigger, that's triple crit with 28k power at the very least. So Brian is a nice grade 3. I prefer Marjorie over him still because I like that soul charging capabilities. Yes, I still run Marjorie and I don't give 2 shits about what people say about that. Brian, if you want to run him, I say 3 of. Personally, I don't run him. Next up, we have Diablos girl Belinda. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost. Auto rear at the start of your main phase if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater. Soul charge 1 if you're in final rush, it gets plus 5. So, really nice. Guaranteed you get a soul charge if you're at grade 3, and then if you're in final rush, she's a 13k base, and all around that's really good. It gives Dark States some staying power and fodder for stuff to be called like Leonard. From Leonard's skill, my problem is like, actually I don't know what, like, something about her bothers me, but I don't know what it is. It has nothing to do with her art, it's something to do with her skill that bothers me, but I can't put my finger on it. Until I figure that out, I don't run her, but like, run her at 3 of, because she is actually good. I don't know what bothers me about her skill though. Something does. I don't know what it is. Next up, we have a double rare for Magnolia, Sylvan Horn Beast Amber, 5k base, grade 2 intercept, 8k base. 5k shield, 8k base. Auto, when it's placed on rear guard circle, if your Vanguard's Magnolia, it gets plus 5k power, 5k shield for the turn. Auto back or rear, at the end of the battle that it attacked, you may bounce it to hand. So really nice. It's a constant like 13k base on its own / 10k shield that can bounce itself for hand, making it for more attacks and for more defensive power. And all around, I like that. I've been waiting for a card like this in Magnolia, and it was technically a part of a later video. So all around, Amber's a nice grade 2, and I love it. 4 of. Next up, we have Steel Bullet of Duststorm Ethan. now that we count Vanguard as one of them, I now know like a bunch of people named Ethan. 9k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, auto rear. When your Vanguard's attack hits, retire this unit, draw a card, and countercharge one. So really simple skill. It's an on hit, which I'm somewhat glad that they brought this back because I can't remember for sure how many cards have on hits. Like, if you tell me an on hit from Vanguard, all I can think about is stuff like Fudumaru, Lemon, and Leonard, and Eden. Those are the only guys I can think about with on hits, and only 3 of those I actually love. Ethan has an interesting on hit ability in the sense that he gets you a draw and a counter charge. He's a lot better than Fudumaru, and now I have ways to run a separate card than Fudumaru in my decks, because Fudumaru has been in all of my decks for like beta cards because I don't have a place to... They're basically for the new ride lines, and now I have something better for it. So, nice card, 3 over 4 of. Next up, we have Bombarding Dragon Brachioforce, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto, when this unit attack hits, retire this unit, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and retire it. So, standard ability, nothing too special about it. You get to murder a rear guard and draw a card. So, I like it. It's for free, 2 over 3 of, because it also has the hit pressure along with Ethan over here. And now we're on to the big thick of things. This is slide number 15, by the way, in terms of reveals, and we go all the way to 38. So if that's something to go off of, be happy with it. Patrol Dragon Scouptera, grade 2, intercept, 5k base and shield, 10k power, auto rear when it's boosted, counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rear guards, murder it, and it gets +2 a ton of battle. So I really like that on attack murder rear guard ability, possibly getting rid of an interceptor. All around, I like that skill, especially in this deck. Even if it's just 2k, it's a way to murder an interceptor, so I like it. And I'm kind of glad that they brought back the Terra group, because that was my favorite thing from Takikaze. So I like it, 2 over 3 of. Next up, we have Hunting Bolt of Duststorm Cedric, 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost, continuous rear. During your turn, if your opponent has 2 or less rear guards, it gets +5. So 12k base, I know what I make. I know who I'm running if I make a Eugene budget deck. If enough people want it, I'll make a budget deck of each nation, but until then, I won't publish them. So Cedric is really nice because A, he adds options for budget decks, and even without budget decks, he's a 12k booster. So I like this card, 2 over 3 of. Next up, we have Deflector Pulse Dragon, 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when put on a guard circle, if you have a grade 0 rear guard, it gets +5 for the battle. So, really interesting that we have more support for the Trickstar Urger build. And I like this because I do actually have my own personal deck based off of Urger alone. But my thing with this is, do we need this, like, clogging up the space? We got, like, a lot of good cards for Overdress now, and while I like the extra shield value, I don't feel like it's useful, in my opinion. Like, that's what I feel like it. If you want to run it, I say 2 over 3 of, but in my opinion, because it also requires you to have a Trickstar on board to begin with, I say don't run it, but otherwise 2 or 3 of. It's still a good card, though. Next up, we have Diabolos Charger Nate, 13k base, grade 3 twin drive persona ride. Auto rear when it attacks, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, it gets +5 for the turn. So 18k during the turn, which means it does stack, so you can swing with it again with Bruce's restand ability to 23, and act rear if you're in final rush, counterboss 1, soul boss 1. During this unit's battle this turn, it battles all the opponent's front row units. Okay, I'm fine with that because it's like a 3-hit swinger while Leonard only kills a column. I still personally prefer Leonard over this because, like, Leonard can kill a back row and a front row, and he does it for free. This doesn't, so already I like Leonard more, and Leonard can somewhat hit with more power, and he doesn't cost you a soul blast. He actually gives you soul. So, like, that's how I feel about it. If you want to run Nate, go ahead because he does give you slightly more power. I say like a 2 over 3 of, but in my opinion, Leonard's fucking better. Next up, we have Desire Devil Hysteria, grade 3 twin drive persona ride. This does not look like a grade 3 to me. I thought this was a fucking grade 2 earlier. 13k base, auto rear when it attacks until end of turn. This unit gets +2k for each of your stand rear guards. If you have 5 or more cards in your damage zone, it gets +5 instead of 2. So pretty much, you know, everything else on your board has to be stand. The problem is, like, if you want to use it to its full effect for it to be like 21. But that's not really worth it. Actually, no, you have to do that, though, because if you swing with this, by assumption, that means you can't use Greed on skill, which means, you know, you have to have a full board. I like that in the point that, like, it can somewhat get, like, I said, like, so many times with that. It could get, like, 33k power from it, but it's so annoying that you have to call down a whole hand for it, and I hate that about it. I say a 2 over 3 of, because it requires too much field for it. But if it wasn't that way, I'd say like a 4 of. Next up, we have Diabolos Madonna Meryl, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto rear when it attacks a Vanguard, this unit gets +2 for the turn. If you're in final rush, soul blast 1, one of your Vanguards gets +10 for the turn. I wish that was not an on-swing ability, because, God, you could abuse the shit out of that with Bruce. Like, when your unit attacks, then you do the skill, because that would be so much better. But nah, I understand why it's like that. That's still really good, though. You know, Vanguard gets put to 23 if you Persona Road 33 before it even swings, and if it has the over trigger on it, 43. So all around, this is a nice grade 2 to have, and I love it. 3 of. Next up, Desire Devil Akrates. I thought this was a grade 1. I got this and this is grade wrong. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, auto when it's put on rear from when it's put into your soul from rear by your Vanguard's effect, counterboss 1 of your Vanguards with plus 10 for the turn. Okay, obviously this is meant to be used with Greedon, but you can use it with Baromagnes if you can get the 15 soul, except Baromagnes does use counterboss, this does as well. Greedon doesn't, which is why this is better in Greedon, which is why I somewhat resent Bushy's decision, because it's like Baromagnes got no real good support card. It's like, yeah, PBD and Overlord. I don't think Overlord even got any support cards, but I know PBD got at least one, but they weren't supposed to. Like, one of them getting a support card was good enough already, and they weren't supposed to because they're encounter cards. While they just shafted Baromagnes entirely, and that makes me kind of feel bad. Like, they should have shafted Hex, Orb, and Yuji. And don't get me wrong, all you players who play those decks, because I love them too. I mean, I like Hex, Orb a lot less than I like Yuji, but I like those two budget builds a lot, and they're really good builds, and they're not even budget anymore. But still, I like them a lot. But they gave them better support than they gave Baromagnes. They completely forgot about Baromagnes. It's a good card regardless because it gives plus 10, but like, what the fuck? They just forgot about Baromagnes. 3 over 2 of. Next up, we have Metalize Irogeo. I said that wrong, but this is our first Baromagnes support. 9k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Continues rear if you have 7 more cards of your soul. All of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as it lose boost, intercept, and cannot gain them. So you could just do what people did with the Nasty Smog back in the days in V-Series and then just call 3 of these fuckers to the back row and then kind of lock them down. But thing is, regardless of which build you're playing, unless you're playing Bruce, these are going to soul probably the turn that you call them. So either you play Baromagnes, but you can't get its full effect off because it sends everyone to soul, or you play this in Greedon, but it doesn't matter anyways because you have to shove 4 stand rear guards to soul. So the only practical deck to use this in is Bruce, and even then, you're not going to have that much soul really quickly. So once more, Bushy, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, really. I don't know anymore. 3 of, 2 of, Next up, we have Aurora Battle Princess Cuff Spring. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, auto when it's placed on rear. Your opponent chooses a card from their hand and imprison your prison if a card is in prison, they draw a card. So they don't lose anything, but you're getting a card in your prison, and all around, that's really nice. It does it for free, it's an odd place. If we had like a Ghost Chase in here, I would run it. Amazing grade 2, 4 of, or 3 of, because it's for free. Next up, we have Cardinal Draco Abstrim. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Continues rear if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight. This unit can choose units in the back row for attacks. So, pretty much the one order from Dragon Empire that can do that. I mean, that's okay, but like, it's not as good as the Column Killer, who I don't run because he's not a Cardinal Draco, so nah. And no one even runs the guy anymore, that's the funny part, at least to my knowledge. Next up, we have Gravidia L'Aigle. I have not seen a support card for Gravidia in so long. So 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, continues rear. During the battle, this unit attacks if your order zone has 3 or more meteorites. When your opponent would call cards from their hand to guard circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. This is the worst out of the bunch or in terms of meteorite support cards, because it requires them to be in order zone, unlike everyone else who requires them to be in either an order zone or drop zone. So I don't like her because of that, because it restricts her, but I still like her, so I give her a 3 of. Next up, we have Aurora Battle Princess Tier Croca. She looks like she's on crack, honestly. That's that's my opinion on this. 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto when it's put on guard circle. If your order zone has a set order, counterboss when it gets plus 10k shield. I forgot what that grade 2 is called from last week that did the same thing, but maybe it was a Soul Blast. Either way, nice card. Now we have one that's an Aurora Battle Princess, so I can actually run it without complaining about it. So I like this thing. I say 2 over 3 if you decide to run it. I might not run it because I don't really need the shield in that deck, so Next up, we have Marvelous Heavenly Core Fotito. 13k base, grade 3 200 Persona Ride, auto rear. When your unit stands by your card's ability, rest this unit and choose one of your other rear guards, and it gets plus 5 for the turn. So, you know, easy, rest it, someone gets plus 5, probably the unit you stood. My problem with this is that, you know, you're losing out on the attack that you might have also had, or you're losing out on a booster unless you put it behind the Vanguard and chose not to boost it for whatever reason. I don't like this card, but if you want to run it, I can see builds where you would. I say 2 over 3 of it if you choose to run it. Me personally, fuck no. Next up, we have Heavenly Great Magic Momo. 13k base, grade 3, twin jet persona ride, auto rear. When your jet trick reveals a trigger unit, if your Vanguard text orb sorceress, still boss 1, it gets +5 for the turn. Okay, no. We have Battle Sister Lepesto, the thing that can restand and get +5, grants a counter boss 2, but that does a lot more than this thing. I prefer that. If you want to run this, go ahead, but I don't see any purpose in it. I say no. Just no. Next up, we have Elixir of Success Gadel-El. 13k base, grade 3 twin jet persona ride. Auto when it's placed on rear if both your and opponent's vanguards are the same grade. Cardinal boss 1, choose one of your opponent's other rear guards, and this unit and that unit get +5 for the turn. Really interesting, because you can use this with stuff like Fort, where when it's rode upon by rooks, you call the top card of your deck, and if both of you are grade 2s, you can still use that. So I like this. It actually works with the deck, and it's an 18k base, followed by if you give it to another rear guard. It's a good number, so all around, I like this card. Has potential, 2 over 3 of. Next up, we have Perception Magic Kiki's 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when it's placed on rear, choose a crit or a front from your hand. Reveal it, put it on the bottom. If you put Soul Boss 1 to draw a card. When I first read that, I thought it was going to be put on top, and I was questioning why the fuck they would give us another card that could do what Hex Orb does, but technically better. Yeah, that's not the case. It goes on bottom, unfortunately. But hey, it's a way to like send triggers back, I guess. Interesting way to do it when we don't have a shuffler, to my knowledge, in Keter. We might, and I'm just being stupid. I don't remember one off the top of my head. Maka might be a shuffler. I don't really remember as much. But yeah, I like this card. Actually, no, the one Hex Orb card. That's a shuffler at least. So 3 of, I guess. 3 of card. Next up, we have Diffuser Angel, who I could swear his names belong to another card in Keter at the moment, but I can't prove it. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto, when it's placed on rear, put 1 card from hand to soul. One of your vanguards, and this unit gets +5k for the battle. For the turn. So 13k base, and your vanguard becomes either an 18k base, 15k base, or 13k base itself, while also getting you an extra soul, making it worthwhile to run in your deck. I say 3 of. I really like this thing. It allows for early game rush. Next up, we have Swordsman of the Heavenly Dance Seraph. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost. I love this man's art. I hate him himself. Like, if they changed his ears, I would be slightly more akin to like him, but I love everything else about him, though. Auto, when it's placed on rear, Soul Boss 1 reveal grade 3s from your hand. Choose a grade 3 from your drop zone, put at the top of your deck. You could use this with Bastion, and you can somewhat use this with Hexa Orb in the sense that you're kind of refilling your Persona rides, but once more, all grade 3s are no grade 3s, but if what I hope happens, then I will have reasons to run this in my deck. But if you run it now, I say 2 over 3 of, because it can definitely guarantee your drive checks. Next up, we have Starry Sky Magic Marluna. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when it's placed on rear, discard 1 Hex Orb Sorceress from your hand. Choose one of your Hex Orb Sorceress on Van or rear, and it gets +10 for the turn. So, 18k base, really nice. Well, actually, no, not 18k base. It's your Hex Orbs that get it. So, they're possibly at a 23. It's like a Persona ride for them, except you're losing out on Hex Orb for it. I don't like this card. I would not run this. If you run it, I say 2 of at most. I don't know why they made this. Meh. Next up, we have Removal Angel. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when it's placed on rear, discard a Sentinel from your hand. Countercharge 1, soul charge 2. Okay, now we're stepping closer to boundaries that may not be crossed. Then again, I have no right to talk because I crossed those boundaries when I decided not to run PGs in my Nirvana Set 3 build for a hot while. Don't worry, I put them back, but it was actually working for a long time and only die in the end game. Like, if 3 grade 3 turns, and that's when I die. But if the game lasts less than 3 grade 3 turns, I probably won. So that's the funny part, though. So I question if you would run this or not. I have no reason to shit talk it. So 2 or 3 if you decide to run it. Next up, we have Sylvan Hornbeast Hajik. 5k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost, auto rear once per turn. When your other rear guard is placed, it gets +5 for the turn. Interesting skill, plus into itself. Now, you may think there's more Stochea cards. There's one other, but it's not yet. That's the funny part. Stochea got 2 reveals today, and that's it. Okay, on to our V cards, and then we'll get back to a D in a second. Agonizing Deleter Eggbis for Link Joker, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto, when it's placed on Van or rear, Soul Boss 1, discard a Deleter and its card name from your hand. Search your deck for up to 2 Deleters, discard them, and shuffle your deck. If you discard a 2, you draw a card, so it's mill to deck thin. And auto, when it's retired from rear, counterblast 1, choose a grade 3 from your drop zone with delete its card name, and it's return it to your hand. So a way to get your cards back, granted you can't intercept with it because that's not counting as retire, but like they kill it by effects or they kill it by battle, or you kill it on your own, nice card to use, especially because you can use it with a given who can kill it itself. So I like this card, 4 over 3 of. Next up, Mega Rocket Gigant, or Giant. Gigant. I could swear there was another card with this name too. I don't remember. I don't know why I'm finding so many cards familiar today. Grade 2, intercept, 5k base in terms of shield, 9k power, 5k shield. Auto, the number of cards discarded for your hand for this card's cost is reduced for every 5 cards you soul. When this unit is placed on guard circle, counterblast 1, discard 4, perform 1 of the following. Either one of your units gets plus 10 for the turn, or choose one of your units and it cannot be hit till end of battle. So either a 5th PG / 8th PG, or somewhere in between those, or a plus 10, so a better version of Heal Guardians. Now I have reasons to tell people, don't run Heal Guardians, you don't need to. They're a waste of time, and at least in Dark Regulars, because they have this boy. I mean, either way, he's like an extra PG if you really want him, and 5 cards in Soul is really easy to get. Obviously, you can't use the Blade Wings, because Blade Wings will not be able to use this right, but I like this card. Really nice. 3 of, 4 of. And now we have our last card for today, and the card I resent with my living soul, Bovine Blast Dragon. Grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, 5k base, continuous Vanity rear guard. It can only attack for the 4th battle of each turn. And only on the 4th battle, I might add. Which means the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and every battle onward cannot be used with this boy. You can boost him. I mean, no, you can't even use him for a boost because he doesn't have boost. Why did they make this card? I know it's a promo, but why did they make this? There was no reason to make this a card, and yet they chose to. Bushy the fuck. And we have one last thing for today, which is our new trigger rules. I said I was going to do this in a later video, but I chose to do it now. So here are the rules for our triggers in D. Up to 8 cards with each of the above trigger types. Critical, draw, and front can be included in your main deck. Now, I might be slightly confused on this rule, so don't quote me on this. If someone could explain it, that'd be really nice. This either means you can only run 8 in total between these 3, which I'm pretty sure is wrong, because then you can't run 16 triggers, or you can only run 8 each. So you can't run 12 crits, you can't run 12 draws, you can't run 12 fronts. Could you even run 12 draws? Is that physically possible? Maybe it wasn't, I'm just being stupid. But, like, that's a thing now. You can no longer do that. I like this rule. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off about this, especially maybe the competitive players. If you're a competitive player and this doesn't piss you off, I'm sorry, because that's somewhat of a stereotype, but, like, it feels good knowing this, because a lot of decks get really boring when you see, like, they only have the same trigger lineup, and it gets really boring when almost every deck runs, like, 12 crits. Like, I know not all decks do that, I'm just saying it gets boring after a while if you see a lot of decks run 12 crits. Or 11 crits, you know what I mean. So, it's refreshing to see that not happen and they restrict this rule. This has never personally affected me, which is why I'm more lighthearted about the situation. I know a lot of people hate this because it affects them greatly. So, there are different ways to take out on this. I will definitely go over the positives and negatives about this in a later video. It's not going up tomorrow because I know I don't have time to record it. It will go up sometime between Thursday and Sunday though. So when you want to hear my full opinion about it, stay tuned for that. It's called What Do You Want Out of Overdress? Assume what that means, and I'll see you all in the next one. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like,